We're going to set up an ACC Ethernet connection right now. Note that no network cable is included in the box. There's no way to tell how far the controller will be within the 100-meter maximum from the wall jack, so providing the network cable is up to the installer. If we turn the box over, a form is actually printed on the bottom of the box with the required information that we'll need to finish setting up the ACC COM LAN. The idea is to obtain this vital information from the network administrator before attempting the installation. So filling it in on the box is a quick and convenient way to get that done. Now, with the communications module already physically installed in the controller, it's time to connect the network jack. This is keyed and can only be inserted one way. Insert it fully until it clicks into place. The flashing lights indicate the presence of a live network connection. If the lights don't come on with controller power applied, there may be a problem with the connection itself. From the front of the communication module, this device is booting up, going through the normal checks, and then seeking to establish a temporary IP address with the Ethernet system. Once it's successfully negotiated a connection, the L appears in the upper right corner of the display, and the first step is complete. We need to view and record the temporary IP so that we can address the controller for permanent setup. Press the up arrow to get to LAN info and press enter to select it. Now we can view and record the temporary IP address that's been assigned to our device by the network. You're going to use the temporary IP address to address the COM LAN module from a computer elsewhere in the network. So it's a good idea to record this and the controller ID number in the form that's conveniently provided in the back of the manual that came with the COM LAN. Write down the temporary IP address along with the permanent fixed address that the network administrator has given us for this controller. It's also possible to view the Ethernet port, which is always 10,001 and cannot be changed, and the MAC address, which identifies the hardware and also cannot be changed. Exit the LAN menu to go back to the main menu and complete the final step of module addressing. In addition to the IP address, a central control system needs a unique controller address to reach the correct controller via the IP. Use the up arrow once to get to the controller addressing section and set the unique address from 1 to 999, a digit at a time with the plus and minus keys. That completes the module setup. Now back to the computer. From a computer on the network, open any standard internet browser. I happen to be using Google Chrome here, and type in the temporary IP that the network assigned to our target controller. Press enter and the browser will access a web page running in the ACC COM LAN module itself. The settings are protected by a username and password. The default username is always lowercase admin, and the default password is always uppercase pass, P-A-S-S. You can change these to something more secure after logging in. This web page is actually hosted by the ACC COM LAN module itself and provides access to its Ethernet addressing functions. Go down the left menu to Network. The software will show the current device settings, but we need to go to Configuration to enter the information we were given by the network administrators. First, be sure to set the DHCP client to off. DHCP is what allows our COM LAN module to receive a temporary IP from the network. We'd like to turn it off now so that it retains our permanent settings in the case of a power outage. Second, enter the fixed IP address that the administrator has provided us for permanent use. After the fixed IP address, leave a space and then type in the subnet mask as provided by the network administrator. Next, set the default gateway. This also is provided by the network administrator. Next, enter the primary DNS or domain name and the secondary DNS if provided. The primary is all that's required for communications, but the second is nice to have and improves reliability. All basic information is now complete. Click the Submit button. The changes are temporarily stored in memory, but we must reboot to complete the process. Go down the left menu to the System button and choose Reboot to reboot the COM module in the controller. Rebooting will store the changes permanently in the ACC COM LAN. It'll ask you to confirm that you want to do that. Once you reboot, the connection with the current IP address is lost. If you wish to address it again from the software, you'd use the fixed IP address that we just stored in its memory. Here's what it looks like in the field when you send the reboot command. Standing by, you have the ACC COM LAN. Suddenly it's resetting. Goes through the startup sequence, checking for other modules. And then it'll begin to check with the network to register its new IP address on the system. Once that's occurred, we're ready to communicate. Setup is complete. If you want to address the device again for any reason from the browser, you'll need to type in the new fixed IP address that we've entered in the module. Let's go back in and look at one interesting thing that you can see in networks from time to time. We'll put in the fixed IP address from a browser. It'll prompt us for the password again. Takes us back to device status, and we'll go back into the network menu. Now when we go to the configuration menu and we look at the IP address where we also had the subnet mask, we see that it's been shortened by the system. It's actually the same information where it says /16, but in CIDR notation, which they often use as shorthand instead of writing out 255.255.0, etc. Perfectly normal, don't worry about it. All that's left is to set up IMMS to communicate with the TCP/IP address. At the site level, select the new COM type for TCP/IP and enter the fixed IP address that we've set up in the module. The Ethernet port setting is shown, but this is informational only, and it should be left at 10,001. Let's try a COM check. Beautiful. LAN is installed and operational. Don't forget to save your settings. And that's all there is to it.